Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the 4 signs you are ready to date again. And this will apply to all of you singles out there who are looking um, to go online and find a date, or those of you who just went through a divorce, or those of you who just ended a relationship and you're just wondering, when are you ready to date again? Now, I know there's a lot of varying opinions out there, and I just want to throw in my 3 cents when I think you'll be ready to date again. Okay, so let's dive right in. Um, Sign number one, you're ready to date again, is if you're hopeful. Being hopeful and having a positive attitude, you're confident, excited, and look forward to meeting someone new. If you don't feel hopeful and instead feel hopeless and think you'll never find anyone, then you're not quite ready to date again. Seek counseling to find out why you're feeling hopeless and negative so you can heal. If not careful, your negativity can easily turn into self sabotage or depression. Okay, so let me just stop right here. It's really important that you guys need to gauge your emotions, how you're feeling. If you, especially if you just got out of a relationship, most people are not in the mood to start again. Okay. And it depends on the nature of how the relationship ended, of course, right? If it was a very traumatic ending or it was a very painful ending, chances are you won't be ready to date again for a while. And you may need counseling if you can't get over your past relationship. But it's very important that you have to be hopeful. It's just this positive attitude that we all need to go into when you're dating. So just pay attention. This is the first sign to see if you feel hopeful. And you could tell just by how you feel, the words that come out of your mouth. You can tell if you're optimistic or if you're pessimistic. And if you're saying things like, "Oh, all men and women are the same," or um, relationships are a waste of time. If you talk like that, then you're probably not ready yet to date again. Okay, so the first sign is being hopeful. Sign number two, you're ready to date again, is if you're humble. You are humble and are grateful for all the past relationships you've had because you learned a lot from them. Furthermore, you feel your past experiences have made you the person you are today. You welcome new relationships and feel blessed. If you don't feel humble and instead feel angry and feel relationships are a waste of time, blame all your ex partners for the failure of the relationships, and the world owes you, then you're not ready to date again. Seek counseling to find out why you're feeling angry and so you can heal from your victim mentality. If not careful, your anger can turn into destructive behaviors such as revenge and possibly violence. Okay, now this is something that I do hear once in a while. Someone is asking, is it okay if I get even? Is it okay if I try to do something to hurt the other person? Folks, these are very dangerous mindsets to be in. It's normal to, especially if someone's wronged you greatly, it's normal to feel like you want to lash out or lash back at the person, right? Or get even. But revenge is never the right answer. Okay, taking out your anger is never the right answer. The key is you've got to give yourself some time to get over the anger. You need to get to a place where you can be humble and grateful for that relationship. It's very important to find out what what lessons that you learned being with that in that relationship. Okay, and once you can take ownership of that, of your part of it, you'll be able to feel blessed, that you'll be grateful you had that experience because it made you who you are today. Because if you go in if you realize that you can learn something important about each relationship, then you'll be grateful that you went through it. Because if you didn't go through it, then you wouldn't be the person you are today, which means a better version of you if you've learned the lessons from your last relationship. Okay, so just pay attention to how you're feeling. If you don't feel humble and you still feel a lot of anger and angst about their last relationship, and or if you're still blaming your ex partner, then that's a clear sign that you're not ready to date again. Okay, so give yourself some more time. Um, find ways to make your days happier, spend time with people that love you and care about you, and just be kind to yourself until you heal. And like I said, if you can't heal and it's been several months and you're still filled with a lot of anger, um, then you probably need to seek counseling to unravel and find out why we're find out the root of your anger. And a trained counselor can help you with that, to help you work through those emotions, because believe it or not, anger is one of the stages of grief. Okay, and if you've heard me on my other videos, you've heard me talk about the stages of grief, and how it's important that all of us have to get to a point, especially if you've been through a traumatic loss or relationship failure. You are going to feel a major sadness, major pain, and you have to grieve it. It's like a death, right? Our relationships ending sometimes can feel like someone died. Okay, and so there is a process of grief that you have to go through, and one of the stages is anger. So if after several months or a year you still find yourself very, very angry, chances are you're stuck in that anger stage of grief. Okay, there's several stages of grief. So you need to get past that anger stage and get to a place of acceptance. And this is what I'm talking about. When you get to the place of acceptance, then you'll be ready to take responsibility for what happened in the relationship, where you're not just putting all the blame or shifting all the blame onto your ex. You need to take part in what happened, because no one forced you to date that person. So something to keep in mind. Sign number 3, you're ready to date again if you're healed. This is kind of what I just said. You've gone to counseling and grieved the losses, healed your unresolved childhood wounds or traumas, and learned self-love. You have put your past in the proper perspective and are ready to move forward with an open heart to give and receive love. You have become healthier mentally and emotionally, to the extent that you no longer feel intense pain or sadness over your past failed relationships. Excuse me. Okay, let me say it again. Um, You've gone to counseling and grieved the losses, healed your unresolved childhood wounds and traumas, and learned self love. You have put your past in the proper perspective and are ready to move forward with an open heart to give and receive love. You have become healthier mentally and emotionally, to the extent that you no longer feel intense pain or sadness over your past failed relationships. If you don't feel healed and instead get easily triggered over your past experiences by getting defensive, shut down emotionally, and feeling pain and sadness, then you're not ready to date again. Seek counseling to find out why you're feeling triggered and still hurting over your past relationships. You may need more time to revisit your issues and more time to process your emotions and unresolved traumas so you can heal. If not careful, your unresolved issues will continually cause you to repeat destructive patterns of behavior that will attract you to unhealthy relationships until you finally heal completely. Okay, this is an important point that I'd like to spend a couple minutes talking about. This is very important. Okay, if you think back on your last 3 to 5 relationships, if they all ended the same way and you seem to keep attracting the same toxic relationships and people in your life, then chances are you haven't healed or you need healing. Okay, because when you don't heal, whatever issues there are from your past wounds and traumas, if you don't heal those, okay, you don't realize it subconsciously. You're bringing that baggage into your next relationship, and the history will just keep repeating itself until you finally heal. Okay. So that's just something to keep in mind. Think back when you have time, think back about your last few relationships. If you keep attracting the same kind of partner and you end up always in a very highly toxic, relationship, then chances are you probably have some healing that you have to go through so that you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Okay. Okay. Sign number 4, you're ready to date again, is if you're happy. You have made new changes in your life to love yourself, developed a new mindset to daily focus on being happy, and have practiced being happy for a few months until loving yourself and finding happiness from within has become a habit. Let me say this again. You have made new changes in your life to love yourself, developed a new mindset to daily focus on being happy and have practiced being happy for a few months until loving yourself and finding happiness from within has become a habit. You love yourself to the extent you know who you are, you're not afraid to speak your truth, and you're willing to stand in your truth, even if it means standing alone. You are ready to meet a compatible, happy partner to build a healthy, happy, successful relationship with. You are looking for a relationship based on friendship, mutual feelings, trust, respect, and most importantly, someone not to complete you, but someone who adds to your joy and happiness. Someone who understands that a healthy, happy relationship is not two halves becoming one because they need one another, but rather two whole people joining together because they want an equal partnership. Let me just repeat this last sentence. This is very, very important, folks. Okay, I know we always hear in movies and romance novels that we always hear about, oh, we found our other half, right? And they're going to complete us now. Those are falsehoods that we've seen in movies and romance stories. Okay, it's not reality, folks. A healthy, happy relationship will consist of two people that are already whole. They're not looking for someone to complete each other as if each person's a half and they need to find their other half so that they can feel whole. That's very dysfunctional, folks. Okay. The key is we all have to find happiness from within ourselves first. We have to get to a place that we know who we are and we're strong so that we are looking for someone else that can um, make our lives more fulfilling. And that's not that we need them to feel whole, but someone that we can embrace and share in each other's wholeness. Okay, so let me just start. You're looking for a relationship based on friendship, mutual feelings, trust, and respect. And most importantly, someone not to complete you, but someone who adds to your joy and happiness. Someone who understands that a healthy, happy relationship is not two halves becoming one because they need one another, but rather two whole people joining together because they want an equal partnership. If you don't feel happy and instead expect others to make you happy, or you feel unhappy, unfulfilled, insecure, untrusting, needy, controlling, fearful, toxic, stressed, depressed, angry, pessimistic, skeptical, unworthy, over emotional, and sad, then you're not ready to date again. It may be time for you to seek counseling to grieve and heal possible unresolved childhood wounds and trauma and learn self-love. Loving yourself is finding happiness from within. If not careful, your unhappiness will cause you to constantly look for others to make you happy, and you'll gravitate towards unhealthy people since misery loves company. And most unhealthy people are toxic. So you'll continually attract toxic partners into your life until you finally seek help to grieve, heal, learn self-love, and find happiness from within. Okay, so let me just repeat this again. I think it's worth repeating. Loving yourself is finding happiness from within. If not careful, your unhappiness will cause you to constantly look for others to make you happy, and you'll gravitate towards unhealthy people since misery loves company. And most unhealthy people are toxic. So you'll continually attract toxic partners into your life until you finally seek help to grieve, heal, learn self-love, and find happiness from within. In summary, all of us want to be in a loving relationship where we feel loved, cared for, protected, safe so we can be vulnerable to share our feelings, thoughts, dreams, and be our true authentic selves. Let me say this again. In summary, all of us want to be in a loving relationship where we feel loved, cared for, protected, safe so we can be vulnerable to share our feelings, thoughts, dreams, and be our authentic selves. The key is to recognize we're all imperfect and work in a work in progress. Most of us grew up in dysfunctional families with poor role models of what healthy love is. We were all led to believe that true love magically happens as shown in unrealistic fairy tales like Cinderella. That once we meet the perfect partner, we will ride off into the sunset and live happily ever after. As a result of our childhood upbringing and the lack of realistic education in real love, We were not equipped with step-by-step instructions on how to date successfully. If you haven't seen my 2 videos, Finding the Right Partner and the 4 Stages of a Dating Relationship, please check them out because they would be helpful to preparing you to date successfully. Okay? The good news is that it's never too late to learn to date successfully. Let's not get discouraged that we have failed in many relationships, but instead think of our failed relationships as our teachers of progress. Um, and I did talk about this more thoroughly in my last video, uh, wisdom for relationship success. So if you haven't seen that last video, please go and check that out. And that's part of what I talked about is realizing that our relationships are we shouldn't view our relationships as a failure, but rather as teachers of progress. Okay, no matter how long it takes or how many relationships it takes, as you continually learn from each relationship, you will eventually be successful in love. So, as a reminder, before you decide to pursue a new relationship, please remember our discussion today about the 4 signs you're ready to date again. Sign number 1, if you're hopeful. Sign number 2, if you're humble. Sign number 3, if you're healed. And sign number 4, if you're happy. Okay, folks, so that wraps up today's discussion. It is a rather short video, but I think it was worth talking about because I do get questions every now and then of how people know that they're ready. Okay, and a lot of us nowadays, with all the divorce out there, there's a lot of people that are freshly have been, just entered the dating scene because they just went through a divorce or they just ended another relationship. So there's many of us that are still out in the dating field and they are wondering, some people are wondering, when are they ready? Well, these are the 4 signs when you're ready. So, it may be worthwhile to go back and rewind and listen to it again. Okay, so I wish all of you success in your dating. If you like my video, please click like and click share. Please feel free to leave the comments, like below. If you have any comments or questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And please subscribe to my channel so you'll be notified of all my upcoming videos. All right, folks. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Okay, bye.